In this video, I want to explain all 3 of the cutscenes that you unlock for completing Act 1, 2, and 3 of the story missions in Modern Warfare 3 Zombies. Now, with Season 1 for the game, they are going to be adding more missions, so there'll probably be more storyline to tell and more cutscenes to learn about. But this is everything at launch, and right now there is no main Easter egg in the game. There is basically just this guided quest. However, a main Easter egg will be added post-launch. Treyarch haven't given us an official release date just yet, but I'd assume if it was going to be in Season 1, they would have told us already, so it's probably going to be sometime later on. Nevertheless though, this gives us a juicy amount of information to dive into whilst we are waiting for that future content, and in this video we're just going to be focusing on the cutscenes. There are plenty of radios on the Urzikstan map that you can listen to tell further story, and I've tried listening to a few of them, but they're just very hard to listen to because you get raided by zombies constantly. But at some point, once we've managed to find all of the radios and have clean dialogue, I'll be able to make a future video explaining all of the storyline there. Anyways, let's jump into the cutscene. So, just to establish the storyline of Modern Warfare 3 Zombies, if you saw the intro cutscene, basically the premise for the storyline is that somehow Viktor Zakhaev survived falling off of the bunker edge after he was pushed over by Captain Price in 2020 in Verdansk. After this event, although he was scarred, he then hired a private military contractor group called Terminus Outcomes, and this was founded by Jack Fletcher in 2011 and has become one of the largest PMCs. The headquarters is in Brunei, outside of any extradition treaties with the United States, and they maintain extensive training camps in Turkmenistan, Congo, and Uganda. Every soldier in Terminus Outcomes rank is equipped with the latest weapons and technology, training mirrors that of NATO nation special forces. So of course, in the intro cutscene from Modern Warfare 3 Zombies, Zakhaev is being hunted by the police, as he is of course a wanted terrorist, and we learn that he had heard rumors and rumblings of Ethereum canisters located underneath a hotel in a secret room in Urzikstan. In this room, we of course see that the Requiem heads from Cold War Zombies are long since deceased. Weaver and the rest of them are all dead. They appear to be attached to a device that has harvested their souls or something like that for essence to charge these Ethereum capsules, and Zakhaev manages to obtain them with Jack Fletcher's help because he wants them for, of course, weaponry. And it seems like from the radios, Viktor Zakhaev wants to use these Ethereum canisters to launch on different parts of the world to send the world into chaos and start a war, such as London, Paris, New York, and many more. I don't think he's probably going to succeed in this, considering we went to London in Modern Warfare 3's campaign and it was fine. But that's his end goal. Apparently he's doing this to please his deceased father, Imran Zakhaev, and continue his legacy. It's really interesting as well because in the radios in Modern Warfare 3 Zombies, Jack Fletcher thinks Viktor Zakhaev is a complete idiot. As he is evading the police, he gets shot and he then throws the Ethereum canister at them to cause a zombie outbreak, and that's the setup for Modern Warfare 3 Zombies. It immediately creates a massive outbreak zone in the area. And just for context, this is set in 2021, so it is before the events of Modern Warfare 2's and 3's campaign, and that's important with what I'm about to discuss. Now, thanks to these cutscenes, we have learned some of the backstory behind how Zakhaev and Terminus Outcomes actually managed to find out about zombies and Ethereum, because it's all thanks to a physicist known as Dr. Jansen. She was hired by Terminus Outcomes to, I guess, do research on these Ethereum canisters and also the Dark Ether dimension. There's various different news articles you see in the cutscenes to learn further about it. Now, according to the cutscene, she met with Zakhaev, however, she was under the impression that Zakhaev was the CEO of Terminus Outcomes, and she claims she knew nothing about who he was and she didn't know he was a terrorist. She claims she's just a scientist, she didn't know what she was getting involved with. Anyway, she basically published a lot of the Ethereum research to the world, however, she claimed it was just theoretical and wasn't based on anything tangible, but of course we know it is. Following her publication of this information, she was arrested by the FBI, although she was let go and not held under permanent containment. And after the FBI confiscated all of her material, she was actually fired from all of her professional roles, and I guess she was looked down upon then by society and lost her career, and that's why they chose to let her go. And that explains as to why she then turned to Zakhaev and the private military group, because she needed to make money somehow, and this was the only option after that event. And this kind of sets up the storyline for Modern Warfare 3 Zombies. So the CIA formed something known as Operation Deadbolt following the events of Black Ops Cold War, and the purpose of this operation was to contain outbreak zones. So we have 3 different characters, one being Selma Green, working for the CIA. We also have Soap McTavish, and that is why I said it is important to note that this game, this mode, is taking place in 2021. It's possible possible the post-launch story will progress into 2022, 2023, etc. But obviously, spoilers for Modern Warfare 3's campaign, Soap dies after he gets shot by Makarov right at the end. So for those of you who are confused as to how Soap is in the Modern Warfare 3 zombie storyline, it's because it's a prequel to Modern Warfare 3's campaign. So I guess it's good that although Soap had a very abrupt death, we at least get to have his character fleshed out in Zombies. And we know from intel in Warzone that Task Force 141 first started learning of Zombies and Requiem in 2020. What on earth is the Department of Requiem? So at that point they didn't really know, but clearly in that 1 year gap they started to figure out about zombies, and it's just crazy to think Soap fought zombies before being involved in Modern Warfare 3's campaign. And the third character is of course Sergei Ravanov. Of course he was a character in Cold War Zombies, and that is why he was hired and made to be a part of Operation Deadbolt, because of his past experience in Black Ops Cold War. Of course he was a devout Russian patriot, however he disagreed with the Russian government, he disagreed with Omega Group and was given information to Requiem in Black Ops Cold War, and he worked with them in obviously containing the outbreak zones in that game. Now of course it's been almost 40 years on, so he's much older now than we last saw him in Black Ops Cold War, and despite his old age he proves to still be an important asset for the CIA in information about the zombies, because there's probably not many people left alive after Black Ops Cold War. I'd assume that Eddie Richtofen probably had many of them killed off to hide information, and so anyone with knowledge is a very important asset. So in Act 1's cutscene of Modern Warfare 3 Zombies, basically Dr. Jansen is just being interrogated by Operation Deadbolt, by Selma Green, because they didn't really trust her that she's telling the truth, that she was just a scientist, she was just researching this stuff, and she didn't have a nefarious agenda with Terminus Outcomes. Well, she says that she has been working on an Ethereum neutralizer, which will allow Ethereum to decay into isotopes, at least for raw Ethereum, and she explains how this is the key to stopping this zombie outbreak. However, she says that Zakhaev's vials are apparently highly enriched weapons-grade Ethereum that withstand the current Ethereum neutralizer prototype, and they need to make a stronger version. She claims that Zakhaev managed to obtain research on Dr. Strauss that Ravanov knows of, and she says that Zakhaev has managed to obtain research on Dr. Strauss, so this explains as to how Zakhaev even managed to know about the Ethereum canisters in Urzikstan, since he probably has information from Strauss's documents and other Requiem and old Omega documents, and that's probably future story that's going to be explained in Call of Duty 2024 Zombies. Now immediately when she mentions Strauss's name, of course Ravanov knows who he is. Soap says,
Strauss. Old mate of yours?
She says that Strauss's research holds the key to upgrading the neutralizer, but Dr. Green isn't really trusting her and she doesn't believe that this plan will work through. However, they decide to go through with it thanks to Soap and Ravanov thinking it is the best shot. We learn at the end of Act 1's cutscene that Zakhaev plans to reproduce these Ethereum canisters, and that is part of the reason as to why he hired Jansen, because she was doing research into that, into a way for them to replicate this, and he of course has probably hired many other scientists as well. Like I said, he plans to use these for weapons. Now, he says at the end of Act 1 that Dr. Jansen has played a role, and he basically then orders Jack Fletcher to have her killed. But of course, nothing ends up coming of this. Now, at the end of Act 2's cutscene, after they decide, you know, we're going to go through with trying to obtain Strauss's research to upgrade these Ethereum neutralizers to stop Zakhaev's vials from working, Dr. Jansen's head starts hurting, and she says to Ravanov,
"It's just a migraine. It'll pass. They always do."
It's just a migraine and takes pills. However, of course, this is foreshadowing that she has been up to something dodgy, and that's what I'm about to get into. Then we have Act 3's cutscene. So at the end of the final act, you have to defeat this massive Ethereum worm called Orcus. It seems like this will probably be added as a world boss similar to Order, so it'll just roam around on the map and be something you can take out without actually needing to progress to this mission, probably in Season 1. And after the Ethereum worm is defeated, it opens up an Ethereum portal, and Dr. Jansen runs towards the Ethereum neutralizer to activate it. This is the upgraded version thanks to Dr. Strauss's research. As she activates the neutralizer, she is dragged towards the Ethereum portal and it knocks her out, and Soap and the others are also being dragged towards it, but they hold onto materials so they don't get too close. And as it turns out, the Ethereum neutralizer works now on Zakhaev's vials. He holds them up and they no longer work. They have been neutralized. As this occurs, Zakhaev is like, what is going on? What is happening? Of course, he's mad, but Fletcher then drags him into a room so that he's safe, so that they both are dragged towards the portal. As Dr. Jansen is dragged further closer to the portal, she regains consciousness, and a mysterious woman's voice says, and this most likely is Samantha Maxis. Of course, at the end of Forsaken, Samantha Maxis was trapped in the dark ether. As she did so, intentionally, she sacrificed her life after lamenting that she is a good soul after she was tricked by Eddie Richtofen, so that she was able to trap and contain the Forsaken in the containment chamber. The containment chamber is then obviously taken away by Richtofen, and we don't know where they are keeping it. Now, as you know, time passes differently in the dark ether, so although it's been about 40 Earth years, that means that Samantha Maxis has probably been in the dark ether for about 400 years. So she has probably corrupted and mutated a lot in there, and she could even be an elder god or some sort of powerful entity similar to what happened to Zakhaev turning into the Forsaken after he went in there for a similar time period. So she could now be a very higher up entity within the dark ether. And she, of course, was trying to manipulate Dr. Jansen into letting Samantha out, because I think Samantha has given into the dark ether after all of these years, and when we see her next, she's probably going to be a threat. As Samantha says, "Let us in," Jansen screams and the portal closes, and then it seems like Dr. Jansen has bonded with the dark ether. We see a bunch of electricity, and then her eyes glow, very similar to Samantha Maxis. So I guess Dr. Jansen is now going to have dark ether powers, similar to Samantha. And because she has been researching Ethereum, obviously exposure to Ethereum is what grants powers, and she has probably been exposed a lot, and that is why she was having a headache earlier. I also do wonder if, since she has been experimenting with the dark ether crystals, what if she has been injecting them or congesting them herself to intentionally give herself powers? That's also a possibility, but because she has powers and Samantha has powers, that I guess is how Samantha is able to communicate or further in their telepathic bonds, because of course the Ethereum powers also give you telepathy and telekinesis and stuff like that. So in the future we may see Dr. Jansen and Samantha Maxis go head to head, or Dr. Jansen may end up letting Samantha Maxis free, and this could be a very similar storyline to what we saw with Valentina in Cold War Zombies, where she was contacted by a mysterious voice in her head, which of course was Zakhaev, the Forsaken, talking to her, and he tricked her into thinking he was her father, and the Forsaken was trying to escape from the dark ether via Valentina, and that seems to be what's happening here. We do see that when she activates the neutralizer device, electricity comes from her arm to presumably charge it, so this seems to be one of her powers. It might be quite different to Samantha's powers, where maybe she's able to just generate electricity. And I think this most likely explains why Jansen even has all of this knowledge on the dark ether itself. She's been posting lots of information about the theories on how this can help the environment with the knowledge gained from this theoretical thing, as well as she's been theorizing about, you know, another dimension, obviously being the dark ether, and the benefits it can provide for science and knowledge. And it's most likely because the entire time Samantha Maxis somehow has had a link with her, and she's been talking in her head, trying to convince her to let her free from the dark ether, because they need to cause a breach to pierce into the other realm in order for her to escape. And Samantha Maxis has most likely been manipulating her to free her this entire time, and probably has given her the knowledge that she has on the dark ether, and that's where all of this has come from. And then Zakhaev basically just picked her up and used that information for his own agenda. Alternatively, it's possible that the reason why she has these dark ether powers is because she, similar to Samantha Maxis, might have been trapped in the dark ether before. However, we already had established in Cold War Zombies that we know long exposure to Ethereum gives you powers, or in many cases it can cause people to die or mutate in different ways. So that could definitely be one way she got her powers, but alternatively, maybe as a child or when she was younger, she was actually in the dark ether. Alternatively, she might have actually come from a different dimension, similar to Samantha Maxis from the old multiverse, and that could explain as to how she has so much knowledge, and better explain as to why she has these powers to begin with. We obviously know Omega Group in Cold War Zombies did actually have a group of a bunch of people who had these superpowers, and they were experimenting on them, so we know that Samantha Maxis wasn't the only one. There are many of them. Maybe even Richtofen has powers too, and it seems like she's experiencing a lot of amnesia, similar to Samantha Maxis, after she came back from the dark ether, and she can't really remember things clearly, which is why this knowledge knowledge of the Dark Ether is kind of just springing up in her head. And this could set up a really cool storyline in the future where we have a bunch of super powered beings across the world. And I wonder how this could even impact gameplay, because if people have superpowers in the story, why not implement some of these powers in the gameplay? If we could have superpowers in zombies, that would be insane. And I do wonder if she could even show up in Call of Duty 2024 Zombies, a younger version, and that could explain as to why she got these powers to begin with. Maybe we see her trapped in the Dark Ether. After all, there were rumors before release that a character would be introduced in this game, a brand new character that we would also see in COD 2024 Zombies. So this is all very big for the future. Now, there are also two things to make note of. Is like I said, there's this mysterious room underneath Urzikstan where the Requiem heads are deceased, attached to this device that is powering these Ethereum canisters, and they sacrificed their life for some reason. Maybe that was because they thought they were able to free Samantha Maxis. Maybe this device was supposed to let Samantha Maxis free, because if we look at the device, it looks like a miniature version of the Ethereum portal from Firebase C, where Samantha Maxis was sent into the Dark Ether by Dr. Peck under command of Richtofen. So it's possible Samantha Maxis might have tricked them into them thinking they could let Samantha Maxis free, but it ended up just taking their souls and maybe gave Samantha Maxis powers. I'm not sure. Alternatively, maybe Eddie Richtofen was the one responsible for this room and this device. Maybe he wanted it for an ulterior motive. We're not exactly sure. We'll find out about this room probably either in this game itself via a flashback or via intel or a cutscene, or we'll have to wait until Call of Duty 2024 Zombies as to why they went to this room, as to how they died, if they are still dead, if there's a way to resurrect them. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it seems like Samantha Maxis is going to be freed at some point, probably within Modern Warfare 3 Zombies, and it's crazy. I honestly didn't think we would see her in this game at all. I thought they would leave the fate of Samantha Maxis ambiguous. I thought that would be safe for COD 2024 Zombies, whether she escapes or not. This means that in COD 2024 Zombies, since it's going to be set within the 90s, Samantha Maxis probably isn't going to escape in that game. She's probably going to try to, but ultimately she won't, and that's why we're seeing her now trying again in 2021. And I'm not exactly sure how this is related, but the Hellhounds in Modern Warfare 3 Zombies have been reskinned to look very similar to Samantha's dog in Black Ops Cold War, which was actually named Not So Fluffy, a nice name, and she was gifted it by Gregory Weaver when she was in containment. And of course, in the original Ether timeline, the Hellhounds were created when Samantha's dog was forced into a teleporter by her father, and they happened to be pregnant, and they went into the Dark Ether, and there you go, that spawned the Hellhounds. And the last we heard of Not So Fluffy was she was to be taken care of by Dr. Gray, and it's possible that sometime after that, maybe Eddie Richtofen or someone else sent the dog into the Dark Ether, and that could explain the new Hellhounds model, or this is just unrelated. Now, earlier I mentioned the Forsaken. Now, he was contained in the containment chamber, but he technically wasn't dead. He was still alive, and in Modern Warfare 3 Zombies, if you've heard the announcer voice, it is very clearly the Forsaken. This means that most likely, probably in COD 2024 Zombies, the Forsaken managed to escape from that containment chamber and end up back in the Dark Ether or something like that, because why else would he still be the announcer? If he's in the containment chamber, I don't know why he would still be the announcer, unless he's able to still be in control of the Dark Ether from within there, but it doesn't make any sense. We know that Eddie Richtofen had the Forsaken contained in the containment chamber because he needed that for his plan with Project Janus, which we don't know what that plan is, and he needed the Forsaken out of the way because he was such a powerful entity. So the Forsaken might escape in COD 2024 Zombies. I don't know how. Does he work together with Samantha Maxis? What exactly happens, and how does he get out? We were introduced to an old one known as Spragmos on Forsaken, and he prophesied that the old ones would return. So I'm expecting us to see them in COD 2024 Zombies, and maybe they free the Forsaken, but I thought they were against the Forsaken. Obviously, the Spragmos gave us the Crystal Axe, and he crafted it, so I don't know what's going to happen and why the Forsaken is still the announcer in control. You would think Samantha Maxis could be the announcer now, but she isn't. And also another thing to note is that Mr. Peaks, the bunny rabbit, is still within the mystery box, so that's still going to be important for COD 2024 Zombies. We've speculated in prior videos it could be the offspring of Cortifex and Saraxis, and that they may have bonded with Eddie Richtofen's child. That might be a boy named Samuel that Weaver accidentally might have killed via a failed assassination attempt of Richtofen prior to the events of Cold War Zombies, and then he might have ended up trapped in the Dark Ether and bonded with Mr. peaks as an ethereal orb. That's a possibility. And considering that Ravenov is back in the storyline, this leads to the potential that Eddie Richtofen is still alive too. After all, someone is funding Terminus Outcomes with a lot of money. And maybe Eddie Richtofen is the one funding them. After all, he had an uber-rich group funding Project Janus throughout Cold War Zombies and what we will see unfold in COD 2024 Zombies, and could they also be assisting with Terminus Outcomes? We will have to wait and see. I really wonder if Eddie Richtofen could even show up in this game, but of course super old. Now in terms of the future story, like I said, the story is going to be continued in Season 1 with more missions, but the cutscene ends with Zakhaev and Fletcher getting away. They're still alive and we're not sure what they're up to next, and we learn that the Dark Ether starts repopulating and there is an energy spike, so as Soap puts it, they then need to evacuate.
Dark Ether contacts are repopulating.
Pipits.
Also picking up an energy spike in the red zone. Never seen anything like it.
Well, looks like this shit show just keeps getting better and better. Everyone on TP! Looks like this op isn't going to be over anytime soon.
So the story isn't over yet, this is just the beginning, but this is all the story we know so far from all of the cutscenes in Modern Warfare 3 Zombies. Let me know what other story topics you want to cover for this game in the comment section down below, and like I said, I'll be covering radios and stuff like that as well in the future, so if there's any that you've heard of, let me know in the comments if they're interesting. Anyways, thank you for watching the video, make sure to subscribe if you're not here for latest and greatest Call of Duty news and information. So anyways, thank you for watching, and bye.